that.
Emily, you okay?
Sure.
Sure. Mary?
Mary, you okay?
All good.
Yeah, that's everybody.
Yeah. All right, it's on you, Eli. Here we go.
Okay. Well, I just want to welcome everybody here, and thanks for coming. I'm excited to start working on the car with all the modifications and everything. And so far, we have it built in the other room right now. So, what's it So, I want everybody to get to know each other at the beginning, just introduce everyone. So, I guess Mary, will start with you, and then we'll kind of go around.
Would you introduce yourself first?
Oh, I'm Eli Murphy. I'm in 8th grade at EMS, Enumclaw Middle School. Yeah.
I'm Eli's dad, Steve. So nice to meet you, and those of you that I haven't met. So.
And I'm Mary Holland. I'm the physical therapist for the Enumclaw School District. And I know Bob Kilmer, and I've known the Murphys for many years, and I'm excited to be a part of this. This is really fun for me. So thanks for inviting me.
And like Mary said, I'm Bob Kilmer. I was a former teacher at in the Enumclaw School District, and retired in July after 36 years, but now I'm working for a nonprofit, Harbor Freight Tools for Schools, which we help support projects like this throughout the country. And so we're excited to continue this and connect with Ollie and Megan and Johnny and you, Emily, to find out how we can enhance Ollie's experience from day to day. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I'm Emily Baker. I am the lucky PT that's been working with Ollie since early intervention and then beyond since he turned 3. And we're just so excited that this is a possibility for him and that we can all put our minds together and come up with the best little car for him.
Nice.
Go ahead, me.
Yeah, I'm Megan. I think I've maybe met all of you but Mary, so it's nice to meet you, Mary. And this is Ollie. Ollie, can you wave? Can you say hello?
Wait till these
Can you
people.
say hello?
Hey, Ollie.
Hey, Ollie.
Hey.
Good job, Ollie.
Ollie just got a COVID test and he didn't love it.
Oh, I bet.
So I'm Johnny. I'm Ollie's dad. I think I haven't met Steve or Mary before, so nice to meet you guys. Thank you so much. We've been really thrilled with this project. So thank you all.
All right. So I think our goal for today is mostly to kind of get an idea of what our modifications will be to the car. And I'm really excited to see what Ollie thinks of it once we give it to him.
You waiting? He's saying hi.
I don't know if Mary knows anything or a lot about this, so it might help if we could give her an idea of what Ollie has and
What he needs.
yeah, what he needs.
Do you want to do that or do you want me to?
You can do it.
Okay, that's hard. All right. So Ollie is diagnosed, Mary, with global delay. And he got a diagnosis of cortical visual impairment about a year ago, and it never really seemed to completely fit. This past summer, he had his second MRI. He had one when he was 1.5, and then this summer he was 3.5, and it showed pretty significant atrophy of the cerebellum. And his neurologist has diagnosed it sort of for services reasons as ataxic cerebral palsy, but also believes that the atrophy is probably a result of an underlying genetic disorder that's, I think the term in neurology is ultra rare. there were a few leads that have not, MRI, the spinal tap, some other blood work has ruled some things out. But she's ordered an exome to try to see if she can figure out, we can figure out what the underlying cause is. And so other than that, he's just starting around 6 months. He was starting to show pretty significant delays in gross and fine motor, speech. And he's been in early intervention since he was 6 months old, and seen speech and PT almost weekly from that time, and OT a little bit less, but okay. Okay.
So she's saying me that I can't stay too long.
Yeah.
I have at least until 5. I just have to go pick up my computer, but we're good
Okay.
for at least until 5.
Okay, cool.
Thanks,
So
Megan.
that's where we stand, Mary. We
Okay.
still don't really know, but we do know that there was significant atrophy of the cerebellum. So he's currently just making great gains, though. He feels super solid. He had a PT session with Emily this morning that I heard was loads of fun. And he's always been super connected interpersonally, social, emotionally. He's always been a lot closer to age appropriate on all of the different, I don't know, I'm an educator, tests that they do through early intervention. So that's a little bit about him. Try to get out here where you can see him.
So where are you? Where?
This is just the front of our house in Denver.
In Denver. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. No snow yet.
There was snow on September 8th, which was the first day of in-person school. So there has been snow. It doesn't stay on the ground in Denver most of the time. It snowed a couple times.
Good job, Ollie.
He's
Good
doing
job.
great. Good job, Ollie.
He's so solid now. He feels so solid. I think he's getting close to some stuff.
So as far as we know, the atrophy is not progressive.
No,
Emily? Or John.
no, his neurologist believes that it's congenital.
So there were kind of 2 baseline MRIs. The first one didn't show it, and we see it more now. And so I think there will be a repeat one to kind of explore that more, if I understand correctly, Johnny. But from a clinical perspective, he just keeps building on his skills and gaining more and more postural control and confidence. So we just see his little curve, or not curve, but progression going steadily up. We have not seen any plateaus or regression.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Yeah. And just to share a little bit about his progression, he used to do little things with his vision, drop his chin down and look up to kind of stabilize his gaze. He'd like to put his hand down on the ground to kind of feel really steady when he was trying to do things with his hands or his eyes. He doesn't need to do that as much. He's much better, sitting and controlling his body. When he first started thinking about moving, like crawling, he had the coordination down, but we could just tell he wasn't comfortable navigating through space. Same thing if he pulled to stand in a little walker. I'm not sure if you were able to see that, Eli, but it's a little purple walker that he pulls up and he can walk in. He would get very overwhelmed very quickly and kind of shut down. So we had to be very gradual with getting him in, pacing it, and helping him, transition out before it became too much. And it's kind of funny, I'm telling you about that now because he's just a daredevil. And at this point, it doesn't really seem like visual information overwhelms him the way that it used to. And there's his walker right there.
You want to walk?
but there are so many opportunities for him to learn, you know, his depth perception, how far away he is from something, and that cause effect, and navigating his spatial awareness with this. He's working on that with his walker. You know, he'll still run into obstacles. We don't always trust him to know that there's a drop off and he could fall off the sidewalk. So he'll be kind of learning those same things in his Go Baby Go car.
Mhm.
And is he going to preschool now?
He is, yeah. He's been going to a preschool since he was 1.5, and they are still in person right now.
Good.
So he's still going.
And is he pretty independent with his walker if it's a, you know, level surface and no real obstacles in his way?
Yes, he is independent. His
Oh yeah, there he goes.
his catch reflex is not. And so we still have to guard him quite a bit. Because if he does go over forward, he doesn't have that reflex to let go and catch himself. And so it's pretty, it's a face first digger that's pretty hard when he does go over. And he's definitely, like Emily said, testing things, and he tests how far back he can lean in his walker fairly regularly now too. And he's gone over backwards once or twice. But outside of that, yeah, he's very mobile in it. He can control it really well. He's strong enough to pick it up and move it around, and balanced enough to stay on his feet when he does that. He's even taken a couple steps with seemingly all 4 tires off the ground. So he's really pretty good at it.
And he's not wearing any orthotics?
He graduated.
No, we just
Oh,
saw
good.
that doctor, and she said he didn't need any more for now. Yeah.
He did have the SureStep SMOs, but he's doing great without them.
And there, it doesn't look like there's a saddle on that walker, right? He's just free. Good. God, he's
Yep.
doing great. He's really
Yeah.
doing great.
Yeah, you are doing great, dude.
So I just have a couple other questions. One of them would be, is he able to sit up straight without having anything to lean on? Would he be able to just sit and
In the
keep his
car.
balance in the car?
He doesn't. Emily maybe can answer that better, but I would say he doesn't. Without support, he doesn't sit up straight. So a little support can be helpful.
Yeah, I think, you know, he can sit on the floor up by himself. He can balance on his bed and he's a little wobbly sitting there with his legs hanging. So I think he could sit in the car upright, but I think a little bit of support just so he feels safer when he's trying to kind of navigate around
Mhm.
would be nice. And also just in case, you know, he were to like lean over. I mean, he could sit himself back up if he leans, but we just want him to focus on his task of driving rather than
Mhm.
keeping his body.
So now that Ollie can fully kind of easily walk in his walker and everything, would he be able to hit the gas pedal with his foot, or would it still be best in his hand?
I would love to hear what Emily has to say about this too. I think he's just now learning cause and effect with his hands. So I think him doing it with his foot's probably a little far off.
Okay.
But Emily, what do you think?
I totally agree. I think that he could surprise us and be like, look, I figured this thing out and I can do it with my foot. I think he could show us that. But I think just to have him be successful and enjoy it, I think doing it right where he can see it makes the most sense.
You want to?
Are you sad? Do you want to tell him how sad you are?
How about driving?
Hmm?
How about driving a normal steering wheel?
So would he be able to drive it with like a normal steering wheel, or would we need to kind of modify it to be something else?
So what kind of modification would it be if it weren't a steering wheel?
We might be able to make it kind of like, I don't don't know how to completely describe this.
Go ahead. We're all doing this together. So.
If we could make it to where you could like just push down on one side instead of having to grab and turn.
That's a really good question. I'm a little
What do you think about it?
stumped. Like, Megan, tell us what he looks like when he's on his little Y bike or any of those where he sits. Is he trying to make any steering efforts?
So I think with he loves the actual quads that his grandparents have at the cabin, and that's like a handlebar style, and then he has a Strider bike
Yeah.
that
He
he
understands the
totally
concept.
understands pulling left and right to steer, like especially with the Strider bike. He can't do the Strider bike without support to stay upright, but he definitely understands pulling with his left hand to turn the wheel left.
Yeah. So this way rather than a turn though, like a handlebar.
It seems like that's what would be most that's what's closest to his current ability. Yeah.
I think that would be the most intuitive design, like kind of a forward back like this. If it's kind of mimicking some of the other pieces of equipment that he's using.
Yep.
Well, and I know Eli is pretty handy. I think that he could probably come up with a design that lets him graduate to the steering wheel. So the steering wheel that lets him do left and right this way, but then eventually transitions into this as he gets older and more comfortable, so that he grows into it, I guess might be the term.
Yeah, Bob, I was just thinking that same thing, and Eli and I are kind of talking as we're doing this, but one of the questions that he's going to ask here in a minute, I think, will probably be about what we want to have help Ollie develop too. So I think if we could, even with the acceleration, if maybe it's in the hands to start with, we still have the vehicle be able to be modified back to the foot pedal in case he shows development and wants to be able to do that eventually.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Do I need to go get a key?
What was the exciting part of that?
Just about the project. I mean, like what? So I can help him because he's got it written down here and it's kind of hard to see. But, as we think about this moving forward, I guess for, even Mary just learning this a little bit, and Emily, and then Johnny and Megan, it's an exciting project for all of us. But what is it that we want to help Ollie develop? What areas do we want to help him develop, I guess? And how can we, within this vehicle, help lead to that as well? Not just so much about, fun in the moment, but is there some developmental things that we can help with as well? So.
What do you think, May?
Well, I think the
Good standing, dude.
cause and effect, and like we've been talking about, like him getting that idea of movement. It's hard. I think for me right now, it's just like, if he could have the freedom to move himself without Johnny and I, that's just super exciting. So I can't really think about Emily might be able to answer that better as far as developmentally what we're shooting for.
I mean, cause and effect is big, but balance, like wrist rotation is a big thing that he's working on in OT. And those sorts of things I think could be supported with this, even just depending on the ignition system, the fine motor of pressing is also something that he's working on and gotten a lot better at, but definitely still something that he's working on. What else would you say, Emily?
Yeah, I would say when he's navigating his space, sometimes he runs into something and then he corrects his path. So the next step is for him to see an obstacle and make a turn beforehand. So that's one thing that he could definitely practice with this. Just in terms of his social emotional development, like Megan said, just getting him feeling really confident being independent. And so I think that's one conversation we can all have, and I'd love to hear Mary's thoughts. if he doesn't have much trunk support in this, then when he starts to turn or go or runs into something, he's going to have to respond with his body. And that could be really good for him. But the other challenge is it could make the overall experience a little bit too much for him. Whereas if he feels more secure because he has some support, then he gets to focus on the fun use of the car rather than always thinking about his whole body. And I would also say for safety, I think that Johnny and Megan, he does so well, but he usually needs someone kind of hovering right there to make sure he's safe. He has hurt himself hitting his head, hitting his teeth. So we want him to be really safe in this so that, they can be sitting back and watching him in a safe area without worrying about him falling to either.
That'd be awesome.
I guess I would say that his ability to be safe and independent is more important than challenging his trunk to work on balance skills.
Gotcha.
My next two things are actually really quite related to that, but one of them was it does have a remote control that you can attach to it as well. So you can be able to drive it and remote control it.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, so I think I'd allow Megan and Johnny to be able to, give him some of that freedom of space, but yet still feel like you have some control in case he's in a dangerous spot.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
And my other one was how might we be able to modify the car to make him more independent?
I think that's what we're talking about. Right?
I know, but
I think so. I think the way that you all discussed designing in a way that it can grow with him is really great, and it could be with the ignition, with the originally the hand and the foot, the steering, and then also the seating.
Yeah, I was just gonna say him having, and the car might already have this. I think maybe it does, but bars on each side of him, so that if he hits something or loses his balance, that would catch him.
That's what I was just going to say, is that if we want to help him with his independence or even cause and effect, he needs to be safe in that exploring cause and effect, right? So like if he does bump into something, that he's okay, we can learn from it and then try and avoid it for future. So making sure we have those safety things in place.
Yeah.
Look at him climbing. Good job, Ollie.
Yeah, he's a climber.
Well, and we can talk as Eli starts modifying the ability for Ollie to get in, control the car, and then get out independently. What pieces or what modifications would we have to make to do that, or eventually add to it to retrofit it so that, like Steve was saying and Eli was saying, that he grows with the car. As his skills progress, then we can remove some of those modifications so that he can continue to use it for the next, I don't know, until he doesn't want it anymore. He doesn't need it anymore.
I think I found out that on the car, as we were building it, the doors actually have a little lock on it, so you can open the doors, which is kind of what might help for cause and effect learning.
Understanding how to open it.
So it just want to make sure I understand that, Eli. It has a lock, so like we could lock it closed so he can't open it when it's not safe, but also a door that he can learn to open and close. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems very practical. Also, like, not a skill we're overly excited for him to learn, opening and closing doors, but it definitely does seem, like a good thing for him to be practicing for sure, and adds to the safety of the car.
But I think the general size of it will be good in protection of safety for him. To be honest with you, we got excited and we wanted to get going on it. We put it together and it's in our living room right now. We're not completely sure how we're getting it out of our house because I'm not sure it'll fit through the door as is. So it's got some size to it, but we're excited about it. So
What kind of car is it?
It's like it's basically a little kid car, but in a four-wheeler, but
A four-wheeler,
yeah, it's pretty big.
like a Jeep kind of thing or a SUV kind of? I
I know we
saw
want
that.
to keep it. We want to keep it secret from Ollie, but I can pull up a picture
Oh.
on my phone and hold it up so you. It's the best.
Because what, Bob, what did I see in your room? Was
How
it
about,
like
how about a picture? How about a
sports
picture of
car?
Eli sitting in it? I don't know if you can see it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
that's-
that's gonna be so fun.
Have you seen it?
Oh, let me
And-
find.
So the doors open just like a regular car door. It just
Yeah.
pivots open.
There's him putting the tires on it.
Oh my gosh, it is
Oh
big.
man,
How
Watch out,
he's
Johnny.
gonna lose his mind.
Well, that's what Eli said. He said, go big, or why wouldn't we go big? And so of course we would go big. Yeah, for sure.
So exciting.
One thought I did have, and I'm not sure what you guys might use for like a safety belt or if there's be, harness, but I could see him really trying to like get his hands on both pieces and bring them together. He might need help to do it, but if the pieces were big enough where he could hold them and try, he could have some independence there.
On the car, there is actually, it's basically the same type of seatbelt as it is in a car seat. So it has one between the legs and two over the shoulders. Not sure how you'd be able to get that together though with,
Yeah,
You'd have to-
the question is whether we need to modify the clip to make it something that he can maybe manipulate and handle, because I think it is kind of smaller and takes a little bit more of that. So, but I think we could probably find a different, it's hooked with seat belts. It's a matter of whether the connection part, we might need to modify, but we can do that. So.
Yeah, and
that'd
even
be
if it's
cool.
hard to, that would be great if you can experiment with what kind of latch system you could come up with. But even if it's like his parents have to do it, but he can like find the pieces, they're big enough, they're not just tiny to find, that could be his job, is bringing it together and then they help.
Mhm. Mary, do you have any other clarifying questions?
Well, I just had a question for Ollie's, either parents or Emily. When he's does he have an increase in tone when he's working on something, when he's got some intention? Like when he was walking there, he really was. I just wondered, like, if we need to think about modifying, especially the controls enough so that, he can use it in a functional way. So I just didn't know too much. I know he's got some ataxia, but I just didn't know as far as his overall muscle tone, if that's an issue with his mobility.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Emily.
No, you go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, his arms and legs are tight and his core and face are not. And definitely when he moves or when something new is happening or he's learning a new skill, he tightens.
Yeah. But then he'll relax in, he was holding on to his walker just fine, it looked like. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it never really inhibits his ability to do what he wants. If he really loses his balance, he might retract like this.
Uh-huh.
But if we give him some support at his trunk,
Yeah.
Eli, this is something that the more support you have at your trunk, the more control you have of your hand. Whereas if he's worried about falling everywhere, he might pull his hands up like that. By giving him a little bit of support at his trunk will help him feel better using his hands. Really, he kind of like has a little bit of his posture, but we don't notice any big influence of tone when he's having intentional movements with his arms.
And then does it have any kind of a head support, or I guess I don't know how fast, like what's it 0 to 60 and what?
I don't think it's quite that big, but
I guess I'm just, I would hate for him to, all of a sudden floor it and not have the head control to keep him safe. Like, does it have any kind of a support back there? Or?
There is a bar which we could add a cushion onto to make it like that, but his neck wouldn't fly back completely.
that might be something we'd want to modify. And I think, when we start to think about this, Mary, we probably want to depending on what COVID is doing and everything, but have you take a peek at it and be able to say, this is how we maybe want to think about modifying it a little bit further. It does have a little bit of a headrest like you would see on a normal piece, but not for, a lot of head movement. So we might want to make, I'm thinking like even maybe this sounds too cool, but like in NASCAR, they have the whole head areas that are there, maybe something along those lines that just provides that extra support.
Yeah, I think, exactly what Emily was saying. If we can control his trunk, especially when he's just learning, we don't want him to have to work hard at his trunk stability. We want him to feel the freedom to move the car and not have to concentrate on too many things at once. And then we can take some of his supports away as he gets more comfortable with the driving and maneuvering the car. But it'll be a little bit hard for me since I don't know Ollie very well. So we'll just have to, keep kind of conversing and talking about what'll be best for him and how much support he'll need. But boy, he looks amazing. What he's just showing today is really great.
It was such a surprising call to get from his neurologist in July, because he'd been going through this crazy growth spurt and crazy development spurt. And that's definitely continued with both. Yeah, he's super solid.
Yeah.
He's taking steps on his own, Emily. I don't know if Megan is being honest with you in the sessions, but he's totally he'll forget to notice that you're not holding his hand, and he'll take a couple steps, and he's totally standing up on stuff and letting go and balancing, and then he'll realize, I don't, and clop down really quick. But yeah, he's doing a lot right now. It's really exciting. And speech-wise too, he's.
And really quickly, I'm so sorry, guys, but do you mind if I switch over just to call in?
Oh,
So
sure.
it's not be on video?
Does he have any seizures, Johnny?
No, he's had 2 EEGs because that was a concern. The genetic disorder that the neurologist thought it could be was GLUT1, which is, I think, 90 or 95% of the time associated with epilepsy. And so he had a EEG when he was maybe 9 months and it looked clear. And then he had another one when she was looking into that. I don't remember exactly how the 2 EEGs are different, but the second one was the type that he wouldn't have to have an episode during the test for it to detect seizures. Oh. And that one also came back clear.
Oh, good.
He definitely does have freezing episodes, and it started to happen a lot less. When he was younger, he would freeze. And now he just kind of zones out. And it seems like with CVI, which I still don't know if he really has cortical visual impairment or not. Our neurologist, another disorder she thinks he could have is KIF1A. And it's not atypical for people who get diagnosed with KIF1A originally or eventually to originally have a diagnosis of cortical visual impairment. But so he does kind of do these visual breaks is what they call it with CVI, but no seizures.
Good.
I was just wondering, in the car, does Ollie normally sit in a normal car seat or something different? Or
yeah, he's still in. He's now in the forward-facing car seat, but it is just a Costco purchased car seat. He hasn't needed an adaptive car seat ever. He's small, so he's been slow to progress to the next steps, but otherwise just the normal car seats. Yeah, it turns out if you're little enough, when your parents want to take you home from the hospital, they have to test that you can handle the car seat, and he was little enough. So a picture of him coming home from the hospital in the car seat is pretty shocking. Yeah.
ask anybody, you have any other questions?
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Well, yeah, let's just talk a little bit about some next steps. So on our side, the Eli, I think, is going to take all the information and organize it, and then set up a time when he can meet with you, Mary, on how we can take a look at the car, and we'll figure out whether we have to do that virtually or we can do it in person. We'll just have to work on those logistics, figure out a date. And then on your end, Johnny and Megan, we talked about somewhere between the 10th and the 15th of December as potential delivery date. Based on what we talked about today, as that gets a little bit closer, we'll know if that's realistic or not. Right now, it seems pretty doable. And if that works for you, I know you guys have some company coming, and but we, I don't know, we want to schedule a surprise for Ollie somehow.
Yeah. It's the weekend of the 11th and 12th that we would be out of town, but the 13th, 14th, 15th.
Okay.
So Sunday through Tuesday would be great. And yeah.
Great. That's yeah, that's certainly something we'll work on and try and hit one of those dates and firm that up as Eli starts modifying to make sure that we can hit that. So Eli, do you have any questions? Yeah, it is exciting.
I think I'm out of questions.
Okay.
Do you want to ask this one?
Does Ollie like any specific type of music?
Yeah, he likes all music. He loves music. And yeah, I mean, he likes Disney in general, but he does really like Moana. He's also really into Megan might call it indoctrination, but he's into a few songs right now that come from the previous World Cups. Waka Waka is a Shakira song that was from a World Cup. Waving Flag
What
is a
you're
song.
hearing now is what Johnny likes. That's all you're hearing now.
Sometimes we argue about how we finish the night, and Ollie and I seem to like watching music videos, and these couple music videos lately have really captured his attention. So yeah, we haven't quite figured out
The car has it.
if we're lighting a fire or indoctrinating with some of that, but he loves music. And anything super rhythmic, kind of sing-along type songs.
Because I was just asking because it does have an MP3 inside the car.
Oh, wow.
So
Like you can hook up a music player to the car.
That's awesome. Oh man,
Yeah.
he's gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Mary, do you have any other?
It's gonna ruin Christmas for the rest of his life.
Do you have any other questions, Mary?
No, not, I mean, I do. I have a lot of questions, but stuff that doesn't need to be answered today. So I think, well, how much does he weigh?
Probably about 25 pounds.
Yeah, but maybe 26, but
And
25.
how tall would you say he is?
Almost 3 feet.
Okay. I think it's just, yeah, we'll have to just kind of, does he have one side that's a little more functional than the other?
nope.
Okay.
He feeds with both hands. He's seemingly very balanced, and while his gross motor movements have been very delayed, when he does acquire it, it's really good form. So like his crawl is very I don't know all the terms. Emily would.
Symmetrical and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emily and his OT are always really impressed. Once he does get it, he really does it well.
Good.
Yeah.
I guess, at some point, if we could get his actual measurements, like if he were to sit in a chair, what his leg length would be, just so if we did want to have a foot pedal in the car for the future, we would at least know kind of where to position that.
Uh-huh.
Maybe how far his reach is at this point, just so we can have the steering console in kind of a close enough position for him that he's not having to reach too far for it. The closer for him, the easier it'll be for him to control it. So just some measurements like that would probably be helpful. Just leg length and arm.
And just like leg length extended like you would if you were pushing a pedal.
Yeah.
And then arm length extended out as well.
Sure, that would be.
Yeah.
You want me to write it down?
No, I mean, we could do it tonight with dinner. But
And
Yeah,
I think
we can get that.
I think communication wise, we're all on that email chain, right? Eli's got you on that email chain, so that's probably the
Yeah.
spot there.
yeah.
No, so I think, and it already has the chest straps and the seat, just like a car seat would have. It already has that. And
Yes.
is there any padding on that, or is it just belt?
Just belt.
No, it's just a belt.
Okay, that might be all he needs. I was just curious. Okay. No,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the car. I think, no, I don't have any more questions right now, so.
Well, and Mary, we can always email, but if you want my phone number, I'm happy to, talk back and forth once you're looking at the car, if that would be helpful.
Oh, okay, that would be great. Maybe just email me the phone number and I'll do the same.
Sounds good.
Okay. So wait, I have one more question. How did this all start? How did you get Denver, Bob? How did we find Ollie?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you, so
Bob's
Megan,
on mute. He was good.
Yeah, Eli, why don't you explain it?
Let Eli
Yeah,
explain.
Eli, tell us how it happened.
So Megan is Nisia's sister, and we know them really well. So yeah, we know the Ingebrigtsens really well, and we just kind of went through there. That's how we found out about them, I think.
Megan, you're Nisia's sister?
Yep, I am.
Oh my gosh. I don't like Phil so much, but I like Nisia.
That makes sense.
Yeah, oh, I'm kidding. No, I love them. Okay, well, that makes sense now. Yeah, when you're talking about Mountain Time, I'm thinking, well, where are they? How did this happen?
Yeah.
So, all right, well, that makes sense.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we walked, the last time I think I saw Mr. Kilmer, we were walking through and the twins were working on the tiny house. So we were walking through the high school and walking through the shop, and we've been very fascinated and impressed with the different projects they've gotten to do. And this is very cool too. It has a huge impact on us.
Yeah.
So just want
Yeah,
to,
and Mary, this originally, I don't know how much Eli told you when we started this, but this was originally going to be a program that Bob and I were going to run with my human geography class and a CT class. We were supposed to do it last spring, and we always had Ollie on the radar of somebody we were going to do this for, but we were going to do more than one, and then coronavirus and COVID hits, and so we were kind of put in a difficult situation and how we were going to do that. And so Eli was looking for additional challenges from his middle school, and we still wanted to do this, and just has kind of come together. And so it's been good so far for everybody involved. So we're excited
That's
to see where it
great.
goes.
Good
Yeah,
job.
and to answer your question about the Corvette is still a possibility for someone else. It wasn't going to work for Ollie. We decided that after our first initial meeting, it wasn't big enough, and it wouldn't be big enough for him as he progresses. And so, but that is still available for somebody else.
Yeah,
down the
so
road.
Mary, if you have any connections in the community, let me know, because our students can still be working on that stuff, so.
Okay, by the time I see them, but by the time I meet them, they're nearly 3. And I think it's easier if you kind of know of kids earlier, but I can maybe talk to the birth to 3 folks and just let them know that that's a project out here that we would like to help out with. So that would be fun.
All right. I'm ready to
Okay.
close.
Yeah, I think that's everything unless anybody else has some additional questions. But got a lot done this Zoom.
You want to say bye to these guys? You want to say bye?
Wow.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. You want to say goodbye?
Bye, Ollie. Ollie. Oh, he's waving.
Oh, he's waving.
There's always waving.
Oh,
Yay.
starving Marvin. Can't be distracted.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you all so much. Can't
Thanks.
wait to see it. Yeah, thanks so much. Nice to
You
meet
bet.
you,
Thank you,
Mary and Steve.
Eli.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Have
Thank
fun,
you.
Bob. Aloha.
Aloha. Okay, Eli, I'll